In this video, I'll be sharing my testimony. I might forget some stuff. I had a testimony already written out from a few years ago. Some stuff has changed since then. I'll start with my name. My name is Haley Reimer. I'm 22 years old. I was born in 2002. I'm married and I have a little girl. I was born into a very loving Christian home, and around the age of 4 asked Jesus into my heart. My mom had endometriosis, was diagnosed when she was young, and it caused her a lot of chronic pain. Because of this, my childhood consisted of a lot of late night hospital trips with the family, ambulance calls, and helping my mom and family with chores or tasks to make her day easier. Family was very much centered kind of around how my mom was doing, how she was feeling. A lot of memories I have is of me and my sisters in our van listening to music, just kind of waiting. I don't know if it was hours or, you know how kids think it's an hour, it's 2 minutes. A lot of just sitting in vehicles waiting. Growing up, I went to church, Sunday school, VBS, and youth group. So my dad was a youth pastor, and we were pretty involved in the church, even though my mom was homesick lots of the time. We went with my dad to church. In grade 8, I made the decision to get baptized. It was always something that I thought about. We always heard about baptism and getting baptized when you're a Christian. One thing I've realized growing older, I am now at a different church than I was then, but our pastor always says, there's never a right moment to get baptized. It's for people who are starting their journey with God. So if you're ever thinking about getting baptized and thinking, I don't know enough, or I'm not well versed enough in the Bible and all that stuff, I'm not either. It is a way of being obedient to God and His command. As you'll see in a little bit here, struggles may come from that. Maybe not. Some people don't, but some people might have struggles because you're following what God wants. Satan doesn't want that. Throughout high school, I struggled with depressive episodes, self-harm, disordered eating, and vaping. I felt like something in my life was wrong and tried to gain any form of control. This caused me to stray away from friends, family, and God. My mom ended up passing away June 2018. I had lots of support for grieving, but felt I couldn't open up about my other struggles. My senior year, I was heavily vaping and occasionally smoking to relieve stress. I was pretty much just addicted to it at that point, addicted to the nicotine. I couldn't go even an hour without it. I'd be at work half the time in the bathroom, pulling out my vape and vaping. And it was such a hard thing to quit because I didn't even have to actively think about it, but my mind was on it. It consumed every part of my day. I'd drive somewhere. I'd need to bring it. I'd go to work. I'd need to bring it. I went to school. I needed to bring it. I always had to have it on me. From that, I felt like I was losing my relationships. I was hiding myself from my family and my then boyfriend, which is now my husband, Adam. Senior year of high school was cut short because of the pandemic. So I graduated in 2020. The pandemic was around, I think it was April. So the pandemic hit and I felt that my home church that I was at was pushing not only me out, but the congregation itself. I know there was a lot of stuff going on about churches, essentially not letting people into the church, and it was frustrating. It's social distancing, masks, limiting people. That's not what church is. The way I saw them act, at least. The church is turning on itself. It's not even the fact of having these rules. You can have your opinions, but as a church family, we should love no matter what. It almost felt like family was pulling apart. When they call church family like a church family, that's what it felt like. There's so many people that I haven't seen since. Thankfully, I did find another church. This is where my anxiety started. So I struggle with anxiety. I busied myself with work and social media because I couldn't go to church. Church wasn't happening. A few times I went to church when it started up again, I felt incredibly anxious. I didn't know it was anxiousness at the time, but I felt really uneasy. You know those old TVs that are really fuzzy? That's how I felt. Plus lightheadedness, plus nauseousness, dizzy. My heart was racing all the time. I would be extremely hot or extremely cold. When you're not in control of your body feeling like that, it is the most terrifying experience ever. So it felt like Satan was pushing me away from God by using my anxiousness against me. I don't know where the anxiety developed. It could have been from the pandemic stuff. It could have just developed and it was used against me in that way to push me away from church, push me away from God. I had quit my job. It was very toxic. It was a very toxic environment. It was not a good place. I look back on work then, and for a while I still had a lot of hatred and harsh feelings towards management and stuff. But management, just stuff being run by kids, was not ideal. And that's around the time my anxiety started too. So I think it was just a lot of stuff going on. In June 2022, I was finally diagnosed with anxiety and I started medication. It was quite a process of noticing a change. There was like a bunch of side effects of the medication and it almost like amplifies your symptoms in some ways. I started medication, took some time, prayer, and trust in God. My medication dosage ended up going up just a little bit because I was still having panic attack episodes. Starting a new job at a daycare and like very relaxed from what my previous job was. I noticed that I was having those moments during times where I shouldn't be stressed. So I knew it was anxiety related. So yes, I quit my previous job. I got married and then I had a new job. I ended up buying a house with my husband. Thankfully, it worked out. You know, only working full time at that job it wasn't long. So I don't know how we ended up getting a house, but that was awesome. Me and my husband decided we wanted to try and have kids. I think it was around August 2023. I found out I was pregnant. The tests I took were pretty light and they got a little darker, got a bit lighter, went to a doctor's appointment. I almost feel like more could have been done. Even though it probably couldn't have, I just feel like it could have. This lady just obviously asked me stuff. It was my first pregnancy, first time dealing with anything really. I went into my appointment. They did the usual stuff. It was a very short appointment, just asked me a few things. I don't even think they took a urine sample or anything. They sent me on my way. Went home. She didn't really say anything. And I find it so hard looking back on it because I'm like, I know nothing couldn't have been done, but it makes me wish it could have. The day after, I was supposed to get a blood test, but that day in the morning, I ended up having what I would personally call a miscarriage. Looking it up, people would call it a chemical pregnancy. They call that because you didn't actually see the fetus in an ultrasound. The way I think about it is I'm like, the pain that I felt was not a chemical pregnancy. It was not just chemicals in my body rising and lowering. You know, stuff was there. My body was obviously trying to get rid of stuff that was not just hormones. And it was very painful. Like, I remember thinking afterwards, with how much pain I felt, I was like, I don't know if I'll ever be able to actually give birth to a kid. Like, that hurts so bad. But in all seriousness, like, I wouldn't have called it a chemical pregnancy. And I'm still coming to terms with that because I know that's technically what it's called. But I would just call it a miscarriage. Like, it's a baby. In the Bible, it says, I knew you from before you were conceived. You know, I believe God knew that kid in my womb. That was tough, but in ways I feel like honestly it was a way God used to bring me closer to him again. I was praying a lot more, listening to worship music, going to church a lot more, and just really relying on him for that, not relying on myself. Part of me thought, oh, that's really sad. You know, like, I feel bad for my husband. I feel bad for Adam because even though I'm going through it, I can't keep the baby for him. And that made me really sad. And we were both sad together. About a month later, then I found I was pregnant again. And I was really scared, but really happy. And I love my baby. She's so perfect. And I love seeing my husband be a dad. I'm so proud of her. I'm just so blessed. Even having gone through a miscarriage, I'm still so blessed. I feel like there's ways I can connect with people in that way. Knowing the feeling of grief of what you could have had. Obviously this is what, God wanted for us. He wanted us to have a little girl. And she's so perfect. She's having a sleep right now. So yeah, we had my little girl in May of 2024. She ended up being born on my grandma's birthday, which is really, really cute. My grandma came in to see me and her. And they're little birthday twins. So that was really cute. I went on maternity leave. I had my kiddo. And right after I had my kid, my husband started having some health issues. He is currently not working. That's kind of where we're at in life. He's on disability pay right now because there's health issues going on that we can't pinpoint. And he's unable to do like the amount of labor intensive work that he was doing before. So right now he's jobless. I'm on maternity leave. We are making it by. So we adapt and we do stuff accordingly. We have what we need. I will be going back to work in April because I took off my work a month early. And because I work at a daycare, I am able to take my kid with me there. I'm thankful I have a job I can go to. I'm thankful for a daycare I can bring my kid to while I'm working. If my husband doesn't find something, at least I have an income. We have an income. Like it's one place, and that is more than I could ask for. I know when my maternity leave is up, I know where I'm going to be. I know where my kid's going to be. I think we are so blessed to be where we are. And things might get more crazy. But right now, even in the midst of being stressed and not always knowing what will happen tomorrow, it is nice knowing that we're good for today.